My name is Fiona. The night I decided to end my marriage didn't begin with shouting or slammed doors. It began in a room filled with laughter, champagne glasses clinking, and my husband leaning too close to another woman, whispering in her ear while pretending I wasn't even there. We had been married for almost 10 years. Mark loved parties, company galas, charity events, weekend gatherings hosted by colleagues. He thrived on them, moving through rooms like he was born to be admired. I played my role as the supportive wife, standing at his side, smiling at the right moments, holding my tongue when his jokes cut too close. But lately, his whispers had changed. At first, they were small lies, excuses tossed into the air to cover late nights and sudden absences. Work emergency. Conference call. Last-minute drinks with clients. He never looked me in the eye when he said them, but he knew I would not challenge him in public. The last gala was different. We entered the ballroom together. He was sharp in his tailored suit, flashing smiles like business cards. I wore the dress he had asked me to, emerald green, fitted at the waist. He held my hand as we entered, but as soon as the cameras turned away, he dropped it. The room glowed with golden light. Music hummed low under the chatter. And there he was, weaving between tables, his arm brushing against Claire, his coworker. She was younger, ambitious, too eager. Their heads bent together, too close, lips nearly touching her ear as he whispered. She laughed, covering her mouth, and tilted her head just enough that the diamond earrings caught the light. I froze at my table, glass in hand. From across the room, I watched my husband lean into her like I didn't exist. I thought maybe I was imagining it, but then I saw her fingers trace the edge of his cuff. Too casual. Too familiar. The whispering was not about business. It was about them. I excused myself and walked toward the bar. My heart hammered, but I forced my smile to remain. No one could see me break. At the bar, I caught their reflections in the mirror behind the bottles. His hand rested against her lower back, guiding her toward a quieter corner. I gripped the stem of my glass so tightly I thought it might snap. When he finally returned to me, his voice was smooth, practiced. "Sorry, love. Just talking shop." I met his eyes and smiled faintly. Of course. Inside, my pulse thundered. Later that night at home, I asked him about it. Calmly. Directly. "Why do you always end up with Claire at these events?" He laughed, dismissive. "Fiona, don't be paranoid. She's a junior staffer. I'm mentoring her. Do you think I'd risk my career for a fling?" The way he said it made me feel foolish for even asking. He kissed my forehead, turned away, and within minutes he was asleep. But I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling until dawn, the memory of his whispers replaying in my mind. I knew what I had seen, and I knew the difference between professional mentoring and intimacy disguised as conversation. The next morning, I logged into our shared calendar. His schedule was cluttered with meetings. I clicked through them, scanning times, places. One entry caught my eye. Private dinner with C.B. Not initials of a client. Claire Bennett. He had written it down himself, hidden in plain sight. I closed the laptop slowly, my hands cold. Mark thought the lies he whispered at parties would stay in the dark corners of ballrooms and hotel bars. He thought the laughter and the noise would drown out the truth. He was wrong. Because if he was going to whisper lies in public, I would whisper the truth where it mattered most. I picked up my phone and scrolled to a name I had never called before. His boss. My finger hovered over the number. I didn't press it yet. Not that night. But I knew one day soon I would. The morning after the gala, Mark acted like nothing had happened. He whistled as he brewed coffee, kissed my cheek as if his whispers to Claire hadn't cut me open the night before. I sat across from him at the table, forcing a calm expression, but my mind replayed every detail. His hand on her back, her laugh, the way he leaned too close. He looked up from his phone. "I'll be late tonight. There's a board dinner." I stirred my coffee slowly. "Will Claire be there?" His eyes flicked up for just a second, sharp, almost angry. Then he forced a laugh. "Fiona, again with the paranoia? You really need to stop reading into things." I nodded and said nothing. Inside I burned. After he left for the office, I opened the shared laptop. I returned to the calendar entry I had seen the night before. Private dinner with C.B. My finger hovered over it. I clicked for details. Location. a high-end steakhouse across town. Time 8 o'clock. Notes. Private booth reserved. Use back entrance. The blood rushed in my ears. He hadn't just hidden it. He had documented it like a business meeting. He believed I would never look. I pulled out my notebook and wrote down the details. Date, time, place. I snapped a photo with my phone in case he tried to erase it later. By noon I had driven across town. I parked near the steakhouse and walked the perimeter. Through the glass I saw the layout. Rows of booths, dim lighting, secluded corners perfect for whispered conversations. The hostess greeted me warmly. Reservation. I smiled faintly. Just looking. My husband mentioned this place. She beamed. We're fully booked for tomorrow night. The Reynolds party has already secured the private booth. The name hit me like a slap. Reynolds. My name. He had used our family name to secure the table for his affair. I thanked her and left before my mask cracked. In the car I sat gripping the steering wheel, my breath shallow. He wasn't hiding anymore. He was flaunting it, confident no one would stop him. That evening I prepared dinner. He came home late, loosened his tie, poured himself whiskey. He smiled at me with the same lips that had whispered into her ear. How was your day? He asked casually. Productive, I said, meeting his eyes. Good, he muttered, already glancing at his phone. His screen lit up with a message. Tomorrow 8 p.m. I can't wait. He tilted the screen slightly away from me, but not fast enough. I bit down hard, holding the calm. Another board dinner tomorrow? He smirked. Yes. These things never end. Inside, I made my decision. He thought the lies whispered at parties were safe. Tomorrow, I would gather proof that even he couldn't deny. That night, I called Nora, my sister. I need you to watch my daughter tomorrow, I said, my voice low. Of course. What's going on, Fiona? I'll explain soon, I whispered. Just trust me. After the call, I sat at the desk with my notebook open. I wrote a single line across the top of the page. He thinks whispers disappear. Tomorrow I will catch them. As I closed the notebook, my phone buzzed again. An email notification lit the screen, confirmation of his dinner reservation, copied automatically to our shared account. I stared at the subject line, my pulse steady now. Reynolds party, private booth confirmed. The dinner reservation sat in our shared inbox like a flashing alarm. He thought I would never notice. He thought his lies would remain whispers buried under music and chatter. But I saw the subject line and I printed it. I slipped the paper into a folder that was already waiting inside my desk. I wasn't ready to confront him. Not yet. I needed more. I needed proof that would hold up in front of anyone. Proof even his silver tongue couldn't twist. That morning I called Nora again. My voice was steady, though my hands trembled as I held the phone. I need more than just a babysitter. I need a witness. Her tone sharpened instantly. Fiona, tell me what's going on. I told her everything. The whispers at the gala, the hand on Claire's back, the dinner reservation. She didn't interrupt, but I could hear her breath catch. When I finished, she said, You cannot go into this blind. If he's risking his career for her, he's already desperate. Get evidence. Get it all. I will, I said. But I need you close by. You'll have me, she promised. That evening, after Mark left for drinks with a client, I went into his study. The desk drawers opened easily. Receipts, papers, loose notes. I searched carefully, making sure to return everything exactly as I found it. In one folder, I found printed invoices for dinners he never mentioned. The names matched Claire's initials. I photographed each one with my phone. Then I found something I hadn't expected. Handwritten notes. His scrawl was unmistakable. Keep Fiona quiet. Make it about her nerves. Claire worth the risk. My chest tightened as I stared at the words. He had written his manipulation like a checklist. I took photos and slipped the papers back. The next night, I put on a plain coat and drove to the steakhouse. I arrived 30 minutes before his reservation. I parked across the street, notebook on my lap, phone in my hand. The air outside was sharp, heavy with the scent of rain. At 8 on the dot, Mark arrived. He wore the suit I had pressed that morning, the one he claimed was for a meeting. Claire stepped out of a cab behind him. Her dress shimmered under the streetlight. She touched his arm as they walked inside. I wrote it down: time, date, location. Then I followed. I didn't enter the restaurant, not directly. I slipped into the hotel lobby attached to the same building. From there, through the glass divider, I had a clear line of sight into the dining area. They were seated in the private booth, exactly as the email had promised. He leaned across the table, whispering, smiling. She laughed too loudly, tilting her head the same way she had at the gala. I snapped photos through the glass. I zoomed in on their hands brushing, his watch glinting under the light, her leaning too close. Each image went into a secure folder on my phone. The waiter arrived with wine. I caught the label, expensive, far beyond what he ever ordered when dining with me. He raised his glass toward her. She clinked lightly, her ringless hand hovering too long near his. My stomach churned, but I kept steady. I noted everything. The wine, the dishes, the way his hand lingered at the small of her back when she stood to go to the restroom. I followed discreetly when she left the table. Claire walked into the lobby, fixing her lipstick in the mirror. She didn't notice me standing nearby. Her phone buzzed. She answered quickly, whispering, "Yes, I'm with him now. He says he's leaving her soon." No, she has no idea. I nearly dropped my notebook. My fingers clenched so hard the pen snapped. She turned, startled by the sound, but I looked away, pretending to read a brochure from the hotel desk. When she walked back toward the restaurant, I exhaled slowly. I had heard it with my own ears. He wasn't just straying. He was planning to replace me. When the dinner ended, I followed them at a distance. They left together, laughing under the awning as the rain poured. He handed the valet his ticket, holding her close under his umbrella. I snapped one last photo as they got into the car. At home, I printed everything: photos, receipts, notes, the overheard words. I placed them into a binder, each page in a plastic sleeve. Across the cover, I wrote a single word: proof. As I closed the binder, my phone buzzed again. A new message from Mark lit the screen. "Home late. Don't wait up. Love you." I stared at the lie glowing back at me. Then I slid the binder into the safe and whispered to the empty room. "Keep whispering, Mark. I'll whisper too. But I'll choose the right ears." The next morning, Nora arrived at my door, her face pale. She held up her phone. "Fiona, look at this." On the screen was a photo someone had posted from the gala. A candid shot of Mark and Claire in the corner. His lips near her ear, her hand on his sleeve. The caption read, "Office romance? Looks like more than business." The whispers were spreading, and now the world was starting to listen. The binder labeled proof sat heavy in my safe, but I knew it could not stay hidden forever. Evidence was only powerful if used, and the time to use it was coming fast. That morning, Nora sat across from me at the kitchen table. She had brought fresh bagels, but neither of us touched them. Her phone lay between us, the photo from the gala glowing on the screen. Mark and Claire, caught in the act of leaning too close, whispering too intimately. The caption underneath had already gathered dozens of comments. "He's reckless," Nora said, shaking her head. "He's not just lying to you. He's lying to his whole company. Everyone sees this." I flipped open the binder and slid it toward her. She turned each page slowly, her jaw tightening as she scanned the invoices, the dinner reservations, the photos I had taken from the hotel lobby. When she reached the page with his handwritten notes, "Keep Fiona quiet. Claire worth the risk." She looked up at me, eyes blazing. "You can't sit on this. You need legal firepower." "I thought the same," I admitted. "Do you still know that lawyer friend you once mentioned?" Her answer was immediate. "Yes. Amelia Reed. Family law, corporate crossover." She won't flinch. Within hours, we were in Amelia's office downtown. The walls were lined with shelves of case files, the air faintly smelling of old paper and coffee. Amelia was in her 40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. She listened without interrupting as I laid everything on her desk: the binder, the photos, the receipts. She flipped through page after page, her expression unreadable. When she closed the binder, she leaned forward. "Fiona, this is more than marital betrayal. This is corporate risk. He's using company dinners to fund his affair, leaving a paper trail under the Reynolds name. His boss won't just be angry. He'll be threatened. That gives you leverage." Nora leaned in. "So what do we do?" Amelia's pen tapped the desk once, precise. First, preserve everything digitally. Scans, cloud backups, timestamps. Second, do not confront him directly. Let him feel safe. The more confident he becomes, the more mistakes he will make. Third, consider the audience. If he thrives on whispering lies in public, the truth should be revealed in public too. But revealed to someone who has power over him. I knew what she meant before she said it. His boss. Amelia nodded. The man who controls his promotions, his contracts, his future. Whisper the truth there and Mark won't just lose you. He'll lose his empire. The words settled in the room like a verdict. By late afternoon, Lena joined us. She had been my friend for over a decade, and when she heard what was happening, she dropped everything. She brought her own skills, quiet persistence and a sharp eye. She promised to monitor social media, to capture every rumor and photo that surfaced about Mark and Claire. If the world starts connecting dots, we'll make sure the picture is clear, she said. We built the plan that evening around my dining table. Nora highlighted dates in one copy of the binder. Lena compiled screenshots of posts mentioning Mark and Claire. Amelia mapped out legal steps. Emergency account holds, custody protections, potential corporate disclosure. I wrote it all down in my notebook. A checklist, each box waiting to be ticked. But Amelia gave one final warning before she left. She stood at the door, her expression grave. Fiona, when men like Mark feel the walls closing in, they don't retreat gracefully. They lash out. Be ready for him to pivot, to fight dirty. Stay calm. Stay lawful. The truth will do the work for you. That night, as I lay in bed, Mark beside me scrolling through his phone, I felt the strange calm of someone with a loaded weapon hidden under the pillow. He whispered again, typing fast, smiling at the glow of his screen. He thought his secrets were still his. He had no idea his world was already collapsing. Just before midnight, my phone buzzed with a new notification. A message from Lena. Fiona, you need to see this. Someone just tagged Claire in a photo with Mark outside his office. They're holding hands. The post is spreading. Tomorrow it won't just be whispers anymore. It will be headlines. I woke with the binder in my head. The proof felt heavy even when it was closed. It needed a place to land. It needed an audience who could move him. Not just family or friends. Someone with power. Someone who could make his whispers stop. Amelia had said his boss. The idea felt risky. Felt right. If I told the right person, Mark would not only lose me. He could lose his job. He could lose his reputation. He would not survive both. I called Amelia before dawn. Her voice was quiet, efficient. We can do this two ways, she said. Private disclosure to his employer, or public exposure through media. Both are risky. Both can end his career. Which do you want? Both, I said. Start private. If they do nothing, go public. She agreed. We need the right presentation. We need clarity. No emotion. Facts. Timeline. Impact. We worked the list. I dictated what I had. She typed. She asked questions. I answered. Every question sharpened the plan. By morning we had a script. Step 1. Secure and timestamp everything. Scans. Cloud backups. Media copies. Amelia set a secure folder with legal timestamps. She told me it would make documents court-ready. Step 2. Draft a formal disclosure to his company. Amelia would write the letter. It would outline the facts. It would state the risk to the company. It would request an internal review. Step 3. Arrange a meeting with his boss. Not a confrontation. A briefing. Amelia would call the company counsel. She would request confidentiality. She wanted the boss to see the pattern before anyone else. Step 4. Prepare contingency. If the company ignored it, we would go public. Mason would release the footage. Lena would post the timeline and the receipts. We would let truth meet noise and win. I moved like someone with a mission. I scanned every page. I labeled each file. I added timestamps, notes, and cross-references. I numbered the receipts. I created a one-page timeline that read like a shutter closing on his lies. It started with the gala. It ended with the hotel dinner. Each entry had a date, a merchant, an amount, and the source document. At lunch, Amelia called back. I spoke with a contact who knows his boss, she said. She can arrange a discreet call, but she needs to see a summary first. Not the whole binder. A clean one-page brief. Can you do that? I printed the timeline and a short cover letter. The paper looked small on my table, but the content inside was lethal. That afternoon, Nora went with me. We arrived at a neutral cafe a few blocks from the company. I felt my pulse in my throat. I slid the folder across the table. Nora's hand found mine and squeezed. A woman in a gray suit took the brief and read. She did not apologize. She did not smile. She nodded once and said, "If this is true, we will act." Then she asked me to wait. We sat there for an hour. I watched the street. I watched people move with normal rhythm. My hands felt electric. I sipped coffee that went cold. The woman returned. "He will meet you," she said. "Company counsel will attend. No cameras. No leaks. Come prepared." I felt a rush I had not expected. Relief. Fear. A strange worry that I might lose control. Amelia's voice came through my head. That night we rehearsed. Amelia played the role of company counsel on the phone. She asked me tough questions. I answered with facts. No drama. No accusations without proof. She taught me to speak slowly, to let the evidence land. Nora practiced too. She would sit with me when I met him. She would not interrupt. She would only watch. Lena would stand by with her phone ready but on airplane mode. Mason would be nearby, parked in a car with his camera on. We set the meeting for early next week. It would be private. It would be serious. It would either topple him or force the story to air. A week passed in a rush. Mark carried on as if nothing had changed. He joked at the table. He kissed our daughter. He hugged me. I smiled while holding secrets like knives. On the day I dressed simple. No jewelry. No color to draw attention. I wanted the room to hold the facts, not me. Amelia walked in with a stack of printed documents and a calm face. The company counsel sat across from her. A tall man in a navy suit. Mark's boss arrived last, his face blank. I placed the one-page timeline on the table. I opened the binder and slid the plastic sleeves toward them. Amelia spoke first, crisp and direct. She outlined the pattern. She pointed to the withdrawals. She showed the dates that matched his dinner and hotel rows. She read the hotel invoice that listed Claire Bennett by name. The boss's face stayed neutral, then tightened. His jaw moved slowly like a hinge under pressure. He looked at Mark. Mark's smile flickered. He tried to speak. "Sir," Amelia said, "please let the facts be heard." Mark cleared his throat. His voice sounded small. He tried to explain. He called the lunches mentorship. The dinners innocent. He said the photos were misread. He tried to make his whispers sound like guidance. He suggested I was jealous, unstable. He sounded unconvincing. His boss's eyes narrowed. The man who had given Mark promotion after promotion did not speak for a long time. He read the binder. He read the notes. He looked at the hotel invoice. He looked at the handwritten line. "Keep Fiona quiet." The world in that room shifted. The boss pushed his glasses up and said, "This is not how we represent ourselves. If these claims are accurate, this implicates company funds and client relationships." My heart thudded. I had not known how much truth could make the air crack. Amelia asked for an internal review. She requested that the company counsel freeze any corporate expense accounts linked to Mark. She asked them to restrict his access to sensitive client lists until the investigation concluded. The boss closed the binder slowly. He stood, then spoke to Mark in a voice that had no warmth. "You will be placed on leave pending our review. Do not contact clients. Do not enter company property. Counsel will be in touch." Mark's face registered true fear then. He had built a life on access. The walls closed immediately. As they escorted him out, Mark turned to me one last time. He smiled, but there was no soul in it. He leaned in and said, quiet enough for my ear alone, "You will regret this, Fiona." The security guard closed the door behind him. The echo of his footsteps sounded like a countdown. The day after the meeting, the air in the house changed. Mark moved like a caged animal. His phone calls grew louder. He locked the study door when he worked. He snapped at small things, the wrong mug, the laundry not folded. He had been suspended, and he knew I was the reason. But he didn't know how much I still had in reserve. Nora stayed close. Lena checked in constantly. Amelia reminded me, "Stay quiet. Do not provoke him. The review is running. He will try to pivot. That is when mistakes happen." She was right. On Friday night, Mark announced he was traveling. He tossed it out casually like he always did. Conference out of state. Back Monday. I looked up from the kitchen counter. Who approved that? You're on leave. His jaw tightened. I do not need approval to travel. I still have friends who know my worth. I nodded slowly, hiding the storm inside me. If he was leaving, I needed to know why. The moment he left the next morning, suitcase in hand, Nora pulled into the driveway. I climbed into her car. "Follow him," I said. We tailed him out of the city. He didn't go to the airport. He didn't go to a hotel. He drove across town to Claire's condo. He carried his suitcase up the stairs like he belonged there. Nora's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "He's moving in." I pulled out my notebook. "Write the time. Write the address." For 2 days we watched. He came and went. He carried groceries. He wore casual clothes I had folded just days ago. On Sunday night, he took Claire out to dinner, his hand at her back, her head on his shoulder. I filmed it all from the sidewalk. Passing cars covered the sound of my breath. The footage went into the binder. On Monday he came home. He set his suitcase by the door, kissed my cheek like nothing had happened and said, "Miss me?" I smiled faintly. Of course. Inside I burned. The next week Amelia called with news. The company review is progressing. His boss wants another meeting. But this time, Fiona, they want you present without him. They want to hear your side alone. The timing was critical. If I misstepped, he could spin the story as a bitter wife's revenge. If I was clear, his career would collapse completely. The night before the meeting, Lena sent me a message that made my chest tighten. It was a screenshot of Mark's LinkedIn update. He had posted a smiling photo with Claire, captioned, "Strong partnerships make stronger futures." He thought suspension was temporary. He thought he could still build a public image while the walls closed in. Nora grabbed my shoulders when she saw the post. "This is your pivot. Show it to his boss tomorrow. Show them how he parades around with her while under review." The morning came fast. I wore the same plain suit I had worn before. I carried the binder. Nora walked beside me. Amelia met us at the building entrance, her eyes sharp, her folder thick with documents. Inside, the company counsel greeted us, polite but serious. The boss sat at the head of the table, his jaw tight. "Mrs. Reynolds," he said, "thank you for coming." I placed the LinkedIn printout on the table first. His eyes scanned the smiling photo. He didn't say a word, but the muscle in his cheek twitched. Then Amelia laid out the new evidence. The footage from the weekend, the times, the addresses. Claire's condo. The dinners. The casual way he carried his life into her apartment. The boss exhaled slowly. So while on leave, he openly violated policy, ignored directives, and flaunted it publicly. "Yes," Amelia said. "And he used his family's name to secure reservations for his affair. He continues to risk your company's reputation." The boss closed the folder. His voice was flat. "That is enough. His position here is terminated effective immediately." My breath caught. It was done. But just as we stood to leave, the door opened. Mark walked in. He wasn't supposed to be there. His eyes found me, then the boss, then Amelia. His face twisted. "You," he spat. "You brought this here. You ruined me." The boss stood. "Mark, sit down." But he didn't. He stepped toward me, fists clenched. "You think you won because you whispered lies into his ear? You think you can destroy me with paperwork?" Security moved quickly, stepping between us. Nora gripped my arm. Amelia's voice was calm. "Mr. Reynolds, the review is over. This meeting is finished." Mark's voice rose as security pushed him back. "This isn't over, Fiona. You'll see what I can do without a company behind me." His shout echoed through the glass halls as the door slammed shut, leaving silence heavy in the room. Security forced Mark out of the conference room, but his shouts carried down the hall. The glass walls made everything echo. His rage was no longer private. Employees turned in their chairs, heads snapping toward the noise. Phones came out. His mask of control shattered for everyone to see. Amelia remained seated, calm as stone. She tapped her pen against the binder and said to the boss, "You see why this is urgent?" He nodded, grim. "Yes. I've seen enough. The termination letter will be signed today. His access will be revoked within the hour." I closed the binder and looked directly at the man who had given my husband chance after chance. He didn't just betray me. He used your company as his stage. He whispered lies at every gala, every dinner, and he thought no one would hear the truth. But you've heard it now. The boss exhaled heavy. And it won't be ignored. Minutes later, Mark stormed back in, 2 security guards gripping his arms. His tie hung loose, his face flushed with fury. "This is my life's work," he shouted. "You can't erase me because of her paranoia." The boss stood, his voice cutting through the chaos. "This isn't paranoia, Mark. This is proof." He held up the timeline Amelia had prepared. "And it's over." For the first time I saw Mark falter. His eyes darted to the papers, to the guards, to me. "Fiona, please," he said suddenly, his tone shifting, desperate. "Don't do this. We can fix it. We can start over." The room fell silent. Even the guards waited. I stepped forward, my voice steady. "You whispered lies at parties, Mark. Lies about me, lies about our marriage. You told Claire I was fragile. You told others I was unfaithful. You painted me as weak so you could stand taller. But the truth never needed to shout." I leaned closer, my words sharp enough for every ear in the room. "I whispered it once, to the only man who mattered to you, your boss. And that whisper destroyed everything you built on lies." Gasps came from the doorway. Employees had gathered, watching the downfall unfold like a live performance. Mark's face drained of color. The boss motioned to security. "Remove him." Mark struggled, thrashing against their grip. "This isn't justice. This is betrayal." I didn't flinch. "No, Mark. This is consequence." As they dragged him out, his voice cracked, breaking under the weight of panic. "Please, Fiona. Don't let them take this from me." The guards pulled him down the corridor. His shouts grew faint, swallowed by the building's hum. When silence returned, Amelia gathered the binder, slid it into her case and said, "That was the execution. Clean. Precise. Legal." The boss adjusted his glasses. "Mrs. Reynolds, you've done this company a service. I'm sorry for what you've endured." I nodded once. "I didn't do it for your company. I did it because he underestimated the truth." I walked out of the building with Nora at my side. Employees parted as we passed, their eyes wide. Whispers followed me now, but they weren't about weakness. They were about strength. As we reached the street, Lena called. Her voice was sharp with urgency. "Fiona, check your email. Mark just posted a statement online. He's blaming you publicly. He's calling you unstable. It's going viral already." Lena's voice cut through the city noise. "He posted. He's blaming you. He says you're unstable. He says you fabricated evidence." I stopped on the sidewalk. Nora stepped in front of me, blocking the wind. "Show me," I said. Lena sent the link. The headline hit like a slap. "I was betrayed by a vindictive spouse." His face filled the screen, clean suit, practice grief. He wrote about devotion. He wrote about mentoring. He wrote about me as a burden. He called my proof edited. He called my sister enablers. He tagged colleagues. He tagged donors. The shares climbed by the second. My hands went cold. My phone buzzed nonstop. Messages from numbers I did not know. "Is this true? Why did you ruin him? Team Mark." Others were kind. "We saw the video. We believe you." Noise fought truth in real time. Amelia called. "No greeting. All action. Do not respond online. Not a word. Send me screenshots. I am filing a preservation demand with the platform and a cease and desist. We move fast. We stay clean." I forwarded everything. The original post. The reshares. The comments where he pushed one line again and again. "She is unstable." He was not whispering anymore. He was shouting. Nora gripped my shoulder. "Breathe. He is loud. We are precise." We went home. Lena set up at my dining table, laptop open, phone on a stand, charger plugged in. I am capturing live copies, she said. Full URLs. Timestamps. I am scraping every version before he deletes. He always deletes. Amelia arrived minutes later. She spread folders like a surgeon laying out instruments. Here is what we do. 1. The legal letter goes to him in the platform today. 2. The company will publish a neutral statement confirming his termination for policy violations. 3. You will issue a single line through me, not from your account. She looked up. You say nothing more. What line? I asked. She handed me a page. It read, we trust the ongoing process and the documented record. We decline to litigate online. I read it twice. Simple. Cold. Strong. Do it, I said. While she drafted, Nora made tea. No one drank. My phone kept buzzing. I put it face down and listened to my house breathe. Footsteps. Chairs. Paper. The clock. Then the second wave hit. Former colleagues texted. Some apologized in private, begged me not to share their names. Some sent me screenshots from internal chats. He did this to himself. We warned him. They have receipts. I forwarded them to Amelia. She filed each one. The company posted at noon. The statement was short. Mark Reynolds is no longer employed. We will not comment further. No defense. No thanks for years of service. The silence around those words was verdict enough. Mark posted again. Angrier. He said the company caved to lies. He called me a saboteur. He accused me of hacking. Amelia smiled without warmth. Good. He just increased his exposure. Lena lifted her phone. Fiona, look. She showed me the graph on her screen. His like spiked then dipped. Comments shifted. People asked for proof. People pasted our restaurant video. People linked the gala photo. The narrative started to swing back to center, slow but steady. A knock sounded at the door. Nora went first. A uniformed officer stood on the porch, calm, respectful. Mrs. Reynolds? He asked. Yes. He handed me a folded document. You've been served. A temporary defamation complaint and a request for emergency contact privileges. He is asking for access to your daughter this weekend. My stomach turned. He just lost his job. The officer kept his voice soft. I only deliver, ma'am. Amelia took the papers, flipped through and exhaled. He filed fast. He wants to force you to respond in open court today. He thinks speed will scare you. She looked at me. It will not. We moved again. Nora grabbed my coat. Lena packed the laptop. Amelia called the clerk. We drove downtown in a tight knot of purpose. The hallway outside the courtroom was crowded. He had called a reporter. Of course he had. He stood near the benches, suit wrinkled, eyes bright with panic. When he saw me, he pasted on concern. Fiona, please, let's be civil. I said nothing. Amelia stepped between us. Counsel will handle this, she said. Inside, the judge listened. Mark's lawyer spoke of a smear campaign. He used the words vindictive and unstable like he had practiced them in a mirror. Amelia rose. She did not raise her voice. She mounted each document like a rung. Restaurant video. Hotel invoice. Internal policy. Suspension letter. Termination. She ended with his posts projected on the screen, time-stamped and preserved. The judge's eyes were tired but sharp. He denied the emergency defamation ask. He declined the weekend access request. He kept the existing custody arrangement and told both sides to stay off each other's throats in public. Litigate here, he said. Not on the internet. Back in the hallway, Mark tried again. You win today, he whispered, leaning in like the parties, like the galas, like every lie he ever told. But I will rebuild. People forget. I met his eyes. Not when the truth keeps receipts. We left the building. The winter light made everything hard-edged and honest. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. A text preview slid across the screen. I am sorry. I did not know he would go this far. I can help. I stopped walking. My hands went cold again. Who is that? Nora asked. I opened the message. It was from Claire. Another bubble appeared before I could answer. I have a voice memo. He told me the plan to smear you last week. He laughed. He said people believe the loudest voice. Do you want it? I stared at the screen at the three dots pulsing. My breath held. Then another message. Meet me tonight. I will give you everything. Claire's messages replayed in my head all night. The woman who laughed at his whispers, who leaned into his lies, was suddenly offering me a weapon. I couldn't trust her easily, but I also couldn't ignore her. At 9, Nora drove me to the meeting point, a quiet cafe on the edge of town. It was nearly empty, the air heavy with burnt coffee and old wood. Claire sat in the corner, her red coat draped over the chair, her face pale. She looked smaller than she ever had at the galas. When she saw me, she stood quickly. Fiona, I'm sorry. I didn't know how far he would go. I didn't sit yet. You knew enough. Her eyes dropped. She slid her phone across the table. Listen. I pressed play. Mark's voice filled the speaker. Confident, arrogant. She'll never fight back. If she does, I'll paint her as unstable. No one will question it. I've already told Claire what to say. She'll back me. I'll bury Fiona in noise. Claire's voice whispered in the recording. What if she has proof? He laughed. Proof doesn't matter when people believe the loudest voice. The file ended. My hands trembled, not with fear but with fury. Claire's eyes lifted. I thought he loved me, but I was just a tool. He told me last night that if I didn't help, he'd ruin me too. I can't do this anymore. Take it. She sent me the file. I saved it twice, cloud and drive. Then I looked at her. Why now? Her voice cracked. Because I watched him lie about you online, and I realized he would do the same to me. You're stronger than I am. You can stop him. Please. Nora leaned forward, her tone sharp. If you're lying. Claire shook her head. I'm not. I'll testify if I have to. I studied her. She looked like a woman cornered, stripped of illusions. I nodded once. Then you'll hear from Amelia. Back home, Amelia listened to the memo. She sat straight, her eyes narrowing. This is gold. His own voice admitting strategy to defame you. Courts love admissions. Companies love them even more. We'll use this immediately. She drafted motions late into the night. Nora brought tea. Lena compiled the social media meltdown, the spike of his accusations, the screenshots of support collapsing, the comments turning against him once the video circulated again. By morning, headlines shifted. Disgraced executives, mistress flips. Audio leak confirms defamation plan. The recording spread faster than his statement ever had. Every whisper he had relied on was now evidence of conspiracy. He called me 3 times. I didn't answer. He left voicemails, his voice cracking between rage and pleading. You don't know what you're doing. Think of our daughter. Claire is lying. Amelia saved each message. Pattern of harassment, she noted. That afternoon, his lawyer requested a settlement meeting. Amelia accepted, but she controlled the terms. Neutral ground, court reporter, every word on record. The meeting was set for Friday. We arrived in a sterile conference room downtown. Mark sat across the table, his suit wrinkled, his eyes bloodshot. His lawyer spoke first. My client wishes to resolve matters amicably. He proposes shared custody and a 50-50 split of assets. Amelia slid the audio transcript across the table. Your client conspired to defame my client. He admitted it in his own words. He endangered her reputation and stability. He will not get shared custody. He will not get 50%. He will be fortunate to walk away with anything at all. Mark's jaw worked, his face pale. Fiona, please. Don't do this. I've lost everything. Don't take my daughter too. I met his eyes. You already did that yourself. She deserves a father who doesn't whisper lies. The court reporter typed every word. His lawyer exhaled, defeated. When the session ended, Amelia turned to me. We've secured the upper hand. Custody is yours. Assets lean heavily to you. He'll fight, but the evidence crushes him. Nora hugged me tight in the hallway. You did it. You turned his whispers into his downfall. But outside, cameras waited. Reporters shouted questions. Fiona, what do you think of the leaked audio? Do you believe Mark will recover? What will you tell your daughter? I paused. I didn't answer. I let the flashbulbs hit, then walked to the car in silence. That night, alone at home, I scrolled through my phone. A final notification lit the screen. Mark had posted again. Just 3 words this time. She will regret. My chest tightened. It wasn't over. Not yet. The final post stayed online for less than an hour before the platform removed it. But the words, she will regret, lingered in my head. They sounded like every whisper he had ever thrown into someone else's ear. But this time stripped of charm, stripped of context. Just hollow threat. Amelia moved fast. She filed the memo and the post with the court, marking them as intimidation. A restraining order followed within 48 hours. Mark could not come near me or our daughter. His calls stopped. His account went dark. The company issued its final statement. Termination permanent. No appeal. Claire resigned quietly the same day. She sent me one last message. Thank you for ending it. I'm leaving town. For weeks I waited for the storm to roar back, but it didn't. Instead, it dwindled to embers. Headlines faded. The viral posts were buried by new scandals. But the truth never disappeared. It lived in the binder, in the court orders, in the audio file that had gone farther than his lies ever could. The divorce hearing came fast. Amelia presented everything: financial records, receipts, the recording, his online threats. He sat across the courtroom, smaller than I had ever seen him, shoulders slumped, suit hanging loose. He tried to speak once, but the judge silenced him. The ruling was clear. Custody awarded to me, assets divided in my favor, supervised visitation only. When the gavel struck, it was not loud. But to me it sounded like thunder. Afterward, Nora drove me home. My daughter was waiting at the window, waving as the car pulled in. She ran into my arms before I even reached the porch. Mom, are we safe now? I knelt, holding her close. Yes. We are safe. We are free. That night, for the first time in years, the house was quiet in the right way. No whispers behind closed doors. No fake laughs. No lies. Just silence that felt like peace. I sat at the kitchen table with the binder in front of me. I didn't need it anymore, not really. But I opened it one last time. Page after page, the story unfolded. His whispers, my proof, the fall. I smiled faintly. He thought whispers were weapons. But whispers had destroyed him. Because I whispered the truth, and I whispered it where it mattered. To anyone listening, betrayal can make you feel invisible. Lies whispered behind your back can feel louder than your own voice. But remember, truth doesn't need to shout. Just needs to reach the right ears. Fiona's story is proof. She didn't fight with rage or chaos. She fought with patience, evidence, and courage. And when the moment came, she whispered the truth in the one place her husband never expected, into the ear of his boss. That whisper ended his empire. If this story struck you, share it. Subscribe for more stories of betrayal, revenge, and justice. And never forget, lies may travel fast, but the truth, spoken at the right time, can bring down everything built on deception.